Oh, good.
Sorry.
Right, and I have, it looks like we have a number of our attendees here. Okay, so let's get started. I'd like to welcome everybody to this work session of the South Kingstown Town Council. This is our second operating budget work session. We'll be talking about outside agencies and human service agencies tonight, but our first order of business is the pledge to the flag. Susan, if you would please lead us in that, I'd be grateful.
I can do that now that my microphone is working. Everyone, please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Susan. And there you can see it on your agendas in front of you. Item 2 is a discussion regarding FY 2021-2022 budgets, human services, and outside agencies. So this is the night when we get to hear from all those local nonprofits that the town has given funds to in the past to help us meet the needs of the community. We have, I think, a list that Rob was speaking about that basically goes in alphabetical order. So we'll sort of take it in that order. If folks who are attendees and are here to represent their organizations can raise their hands just to be seen so we can bring you in as quickly as possible, that would be great. And it looks like we've got some hands raised already. Rob, do you want to just sort of pull up that list and then we can
Sure thing.
show people what the order is going to be?
You should be seeing my screen, and I'm going to start a slideshow. And if it's helpful, I'd like to bring Amy Reiner in to give just an overview of where we are in this this account. If that's, it will take, I think, 2 slides.
All right, let's do that.
Point out while we're waiting for Amy that the purpose.
Good evening, everyone. Amy Reiner, Director of Administrative Services. So as Council President Collins previously mentioned, this evening, we get to hear from quite a number of organizations from our community. We call them within our budget document, the human services and outside agencies. Each of them have submitted an application for a request for funding for the upcoming fiscal year. We have received 12 applications this year for a total of, let me just double check my chart, a total of $114,950. We also have 3 other organizations that are funded through this part of the budget: the League, which pays the dues; Celebrations, which includes the 3 parades that are typically held in town, as well as funding for the Union Fire and the Kingston Fire Districts. Those 3 different funding pieces, those organizations do not need to submit a funding application request, but the remaining 12 have all done that. And this evening's presentation to the council is part of the application process. So each of them will be speaking to the council to share a bit about their organization, as well as the amount of their funding request for the upcoming year and what that funding request will be used for. In the application process, we do encourage the requesting organizations to submit requests for, one-time innovative projects, but we do also see some for, the word is escaping me at the moment, just year over year regular expenses. So each of the organizations will present the amount of their request and then what it will be used for. And some often speak to how the funding they've received in past years, they've used that. So without further ado, thank you.
Thank you, Amy. All right, and the chart is, this chart is right out of the budget document. There are only 3 agencies that have made, well, there's actually 4, but there's only a handful of agencies that have made any request for increased funding, bringing us in this year under the appropriation for last year in this category. So, you know, with COVID, I think a number of agencies have sort of cut back on their programming, and we are sort of, unfortunately, in the situation where we're being asked for less this year because COVID has just impacted everybody's operations, I think. The first in our list is the Boys and Girls Club of Newport County.
And I just want to remark, I think that previous slide seemed to be inaccurate and said 100% decrease in, you know, most of for the 2021, 2022 proposed. Is that?
Yeah, that's because those allocations have not yet been made. So
Okay.
showing it as a total decrease because no funding has yet been allocated. The council will allocate funds, and in fact, every request, if I'm not mistaken, that's been made could be funded with the amount available.
Yes, I just don't want people to freak out here who might be attending this meeting and see everything zeroed out. If
I may, yes, that is important to note. The town manager in his proposed budget proposes a pot of money that the council can then choose to allocate. So if you look at that screen, you'll see a row that's highlighted that indicates the town manager proposed for miscellaneous disbursement, which is the $114,950. Which, as Rob indicated, that does equal what the funding requests have been asked for. The only 3 that you'll see in the 21-22 proposed column other than that are the league dues, the fire stations, and the celebrations.
Hello.
Hello, is that
This is Joe Tomczyk from the Boys and Girls Club of Newport. How are you?
Very good. Thank you for
Is
coming.
now an appropriate time? I don't want to interrupt if you had other things to go through.
No, this is your time to shine.
All right, thank you so much. Well, I just wanted to first off thank you again for your support. You know, last year we had started off our program strong. From the beginning of the year, we had approximately 35 kids that we started off with in January and February, when we were able to run about 10 weeks of programming for the kids. And it was a great start. And then unfortunately, the pandemic happened and things had to take a turn. But we were fortunate to be able to receive a lot of support and be able to continue to engage with the members of the community. We had 16 families that of the kids that we were working with that were able to continue engaging with. We would go over to Champaign Heights and bring over hot meals for 16 of those families, and would engage with the kids, just checking in with them weekly. Even though it couldn't be formal programming, we wanted to make sure that the kids knew we were a consistent presence and we cared. We were unable to officially open programming up until June, and in the summertime, we were fortunate to be able to offer 42 kids from South Kingston 4-week scholarships to attend Camp Grosvenor. And those 42 kids were aligned in our pods. So we had them all together. We picked them up from camp, we brought them over there on a daily basis, and just having the normal sort of setup for camp and having them experience something that was outside of the pandemic, I think was really beneficial for them. Coming into the beginning of this school year, again, unfortunately, schools weren't allowing us to come in. We had been in the neighborhood guild for a while, and you know, with the pandemic, that just wasn't possible. So we had to explore different ways to engage them, and we're able to periodically bring them over to Camp Grosvenor just for team building days to again engage with them and continue with the meal delivery that we were doing for the families as much as we possibly could. In addition to that, we had hygiene kits. You know, for a while there was a shortage of toilet paper and cleaning supplies, and we were able to bring those out to the families. We also had Thanksgiving dinner groceries, frozen turkeys and sides that were delivered at Thanksgiving. And then at Christmas time, we brought over blankets, chocolates, scarves, and Stop and Shop gift cards throughout the month of December. So we were really happy to continue to be able to engage with our constituents and our families, and are really hopeful that come into this next year that we'll be able to set up something more normal. So I don't know if you're all aware or not, but we are currently pursuing a more permanent presence at the South Street School, hopefully. And there's a lot of work that still needs to be done. But in the interim, we are looking to continue to engage with the kids at Camp Grosvenor, having 100 individual week camps available for kids that might be interested in coming. We are looking to get back into the schools in some meaningful way next year, consistently, ideally 3 days a week, and we would need to be able to cover the cost of staff to be able to do that. And what we're asking for is a small portion of the total cost that would be incurred for us in running all of these programs over the course of the year. So between all of the cost incurred for the transportation, which last year alone, I think was $13,000 for us to be able to have the bus for the kids to be able to come to camp. Just because of the limitations, we ended up having to get 2 buses. But between that and then the cost of the camps itself, and then all of our staffing and transportation needs, we're way over that 20,000 mark. We're closer to 100. So this would be a chance to offset it, and then again, re-engage with the community and do something for the kids that desperately need some sort of outside experiences.
Thanks, Joe. Any Councilwoman Rose?
So I just want to thank you for your work in the community and for providing the services that you provide. I am a parent whose employment has been affected due to a lack of childcare in the community. So I wish your program much success, and thank you.
Thank you so much.
Any other questions for the Boys and Girls Club? Councilwoman Berger.
I just wanted to also echo some support and respect and thankfulness for all that you do for kids for summer camp. I've had the opportunity myself to be a camp staff member for 13 years, and I know camp is transformational for kids. And I think developmentally and socially, it's just a huge thing for kids to just transform themselves. And so I'm so excited that you are going to be able to provide 100 for kids. I think underserved children really do need that, what summer camp provides. And so I'm thrilled that you're doing that, and I'm looking forward to your partnership coming over the bridge. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, seeing none. Thank you very much for coming in, Joe. I want to echo those sentiments that you've already heard. Definitely looking forward to seeing a more permanent presence for your organization here. You do a lot of great work around the country, the state, and so it's great to see it becoming more of a presence here.
Thank you again. And, again, I appreciate the support, all of the support you've given over the last couple of years. So thank you so much.
So I know we were having some difficulty with Kane. I don't know if anybody from the Kane Child Development Center has made it tonight, but they have got an application in, and it is the same funding request as was made last year. Susan, if there's a raised hand, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to go to the next slide.
It looks like Paula Whitford.
Well, it looks like she put her hand down.
So
Yeah.
Paul has been
She's taken.
I know
Paula-
Paul is a strong proponent for the Boys and Girls Club. She may have wanted to speak on the Boys and Girls Club.
All right, well, let's, if somebody is able to join us from Kane, they can, we can ask at the end if anybody's joined from organizations, and we'll just go through the list.
Very good. So next up is the Chamber of Commerce.
And Joe Veely is here to speak for them.
Great. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. Thank you for having me tonight. Thank you for your support in the past. Just a little editorial night. The budget was the most favorite part of my tenure serving with some of you folks. So I haven't missed much of it this year, and happy to see you all. So I think most of you, I sent in a pretty detailed application, but I'll hit some of the high points on it. Most of you, I'm sure, know what a Chamber of Commerce is, pretty much connecting and supporting the business community in Southern Rhode Island and creating opportunities for their success. Some of the things that we do in that vein with the funding, we provide a gift certificate program that keeps the shopping local. We have over 220 member businesses that redeem the certificates. So they're a pretty popular item certain times of the year, certainly Christmas, the end of the school year. And it's over $10,000 a year in gift certificates sold that then get spent locally, helping to support the local business community and the community as a whole. Certainly affects a lot of employees. Tourist Information Center we have on Old Tower Hill Road, which the repaving job is great. The redesign of that road has been fantastic. I think it can be considered a success as far as handling the traffic, and aesthetically, it's just they did a great job. They really paid attention to detail. Some of the other stuff that we do. So at the Tourist Information Center, which it primarily serves as for about 5 months of the year, we keep weekend hours that we don't normally keep in the off season. And so interesting, in COVID, the walk-in traffic was a lot less for the weekend hours, but boy, the phone calls actually 6 and 7 days a week from out-of-town people just looking for guidelines on the regulations. What do I have to do when I get there? I come from a state that is, quarantining if you've been at risk, so you need to quarantine when you're here. So we were answering phone calls to a lot of the people who wanted to travel here and take advantage of our beautiful area. We have a reusable bag program that we partnered with the town. The Conservation Commission actually, I guess about 4 years ago, gave us some seed money. We started this program, and through probably 3 or 4 of the local merchants and at the Chamber building, we sell these very attractive reusable shopping bags that are not just used for shopping. Actually, we have some people come in around Christmas time who buy these bags to put their gifts in before they, to deliver the gifts to family members. So this year, COVID has really switched what we do. We're still doing some networking, but it's virtual. We had to cancel all of our signature events last year. Those signature events do count for about a third of our budget for the year. We were able to do 1 or 2 of them a little bit virtually, but certainly not the impact financially that the in-person events had. Early on in COVID, we worked with the town. Town administration was doing a weekly meeting with the local businesses to try to get some feedback about what the needs were in the community from the commercial sector. And I think the meetings were a great connection from the town to the business community. Some of the other things that we did, Commerce RI supplied us with PPE supplies. We distributed, and we are still distributing, but we distributed over 30 of the masks, a couple of 100 gallons of hand sanitizer, disinfectant, 4,000 bottles of hand sanitizer to well over 200 businesses, and it's still growing. We still get calls from different businesses that still need the supplies. We've given a ton of guidance, and we still do on some of the grant and loan programs that are available. The payroll protection plan. We have given guidance to lots of businesses on the Restore Rhode Island grant. And then we partnered with the town administration on the Take It Outside grant money. And I think all these programs have been successful. It was interesting to me how much help that the business community needed, because they're busy running their businesses, and they've never had to deal with this, with this kind of, so we had to go in with SBA and with Commerce RI and learn the programs and then guide them through it. Those are just some of the highlights. I guess in a nutshell, I would say we can do, collectively what individuals are challenged to do through the Chamber of Commerce. Again, my application was fairly detailed, and I'll entertain any questions from the council.
Thanks, Joe. Great to see you again. Any questions for Chamber of Commerce? Councilman McAtee.
Joe, Rory McEntee, pleasure to see you up here. I think you're doing a good job as the Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you.
It's a tough time for all businesses throughout the county and the town, and nationwide as well. But definitely a tough thing to do, navigate through these PPP and disaster loan grants, things of that nature. So appreciate what you're doing. Appreciate the update you gave us, and keep up the good work.
Great, thank you. Thanks for those kind words. I will say that if any business community is up for the challenge, it's this one. They're just a bunch of resilient people, and they've shown me a lot. So, but thank you for the kind words.
Any other questions or comments for Joe? All right, seeing none. Well, we definitely expect to continue seeing you at these meetings of ours, Joe. But of course, it's great to see you here presenting on behalf of the Chamber.
Great.
So thank you for coming in tonight.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Domestic Violence Resource Center.
Hello, can you hear me? You hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yay, thank you. Hi, everybody. I just want to add a little levity here because, when I talk about domestic violence, it's always, it brings a party down. I just want to say, as I've looked around the room, I've been coming to these meetings for 30 years because of the work I've done in town. And I think Joe Veely is the only person that may have beat me in those numbers of attendance. So I just wanted to point that out. So thank you for having us this evening. Our mission at the Domestic Violence Resource Center remains the same. It sounds sophisticated. The DVRC works collaboratively to offer safety, support, advocacy, education, and a network of services to the residents of Washington County. We are dedicated to both preventing and responding to domestic violence by working to change the social conditions, beliefs, and actions that perpetrate abuse. But ultimately, that means we're working towards a future free from violence. Research has shown that domestic violence actually biologically changes the DNA of the next generation. I mean, that's so, you think that's unbelievable, but it's been proven that people who live through abuse and the next generation has physiological implications for that. We're asking for $5,000. The $5,000 is to support people usually think of us because we have a a safe home, and we have a helpline. So the $5,000 we're seeking funding for is to continue to support our helpline. Last year, we answered 1,133 calls on our helpline. It's usually our first contact with victims. If it's not through the court system, when people are arrested, it's through our helpline. 24% of the people we serve are from South Kingstown. I've been the executive director for 21 years, and that has been a consistent number. First is Westerly, second is South Kingstown, I'm sorry. So again, we're asking for support for our helpline, which is one of our core services. As with every other nonprofit, we've struggled, as everybody has, with COVID, and I'm proud to say that we have been able to maintain our services. We never closed our doors. We still offer a safe home, court advocacy, drop-in by appointment. We just do it differently, as everybody else does, and mostly remotely. We offer counseling. We offer advocacy. The one program that's been dramatically impacted is outreach, as you can imagine. We used to go into schools. We used to go into libraries. We used to work with the student councils and with SAD and other organizations. We lost a staff member because, fortunately for her, she went to law school. Unfortunately for us, we lost her. She was a great advocate. So our numbers have been consistent. Our calls have been more horrific, if you can imagine that, because through this isolation and quarantining, victims have been at home with their abusers, and their abusers have lost all control in any other part of their life. So the situations we have faced are even more horrendous than usual, but our first contact usually is through the helpline. So hopefully you'll support us for $5,000 for our helpline. And I'm welcoming any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mary. Any questions for Domestic Violence Resource Center? All right, I don't see anybody jumping up with a question, Mary, but of course, thank you for all the work you do. It's got to have been one of the toughest years with all the stress that people have been under, and thank you for being there.
Well, I really appreciate that. Calls to the helpline statewide have increased over 50%. So it is a very current, prevalent problem that people don't like to discuss. So thank you for the opportunity to bring it to you.
All right, very good. Well, thank you again for coming tonight, and we'll look forward to hearing from you again.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Next, we have the Education Exchange.
Am I here?
I think you are in here, Jason.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, excellent. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Well, what a year this has been. This is my second year, beginning of my second year as the executive director of the Education Exchange. What a first year it was. It was crazy. But just so you all know, we are an adult education nonprofit organization and workforce development program. We're in Peacedale, Rhode Island. We've been in South Kingstown now for over 40 years. It's pretty great. In education, we do the GED, which is General Education Development, Adult Basic Education, English as a Second Language, and the National External Diploma Program, where you can actually earn a high school degree, which is granted to you by the state. And now we have a lot of workforce development programming going on. We offer hospitality training where participants get paid to learn about basic culinary skills and customer service skills, and then we place them in local restaurants, and we have about a 65% job placement rate for that program, actually for all of our workforce programs pretty much. We have an aquaculture workforce program, which is raising oysters, farming oysters, and then distributing oysters. It's great. It's great for the local economy, and it's actually great for the environment as well. We have a master's captain's license course we offer now. All of this stuff is for free, by the way. We offer it all for free to our communities. And that master's captain's license is for the fisheries and aquaculture and the wind farming industry. We created a new digital literacy program that we developed during COVID to get people back to work. We partnered with Back to Work Rhode Island to run that program, and that's basic computer literacy skills and professionalism and resume building and job placement. And then we do teacher assistant trainings. We just do a lot of great stuff for the community, and we're really happy with what we do. Last year, I asked, we are asking the same amount as we did for last year. And I don't know if you remember last year, I said that this was pre-COVID. We were going to begin building the GED program online. And boy, did that just come to fruition, right? So COVID-19 hits and it fast-paced us to start building everything online. So we spent the last year becoming a hybrid program. We have almost all of our programs are now online. We use Zoom to scaffold the sessions. We're getting really good at it. And this year we just want to build on that so that we can become one of the best providers of adult ed and workforce development, both online and in person. So that's what we are going to continue to develop, and we're really excited to do it for the community. And we're very happy that you are considering us again, and I would love any questions from you.
All right, thanks, Jason. Questions for the Education Exchange? Councilman McAtee.
Jason, I'll just mention that the Exchange runs a great program. I got a close friend recently received their GED by going through the program, so it works, it's good, it's effective, and just want to say we appreciate the work that's being done.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Muted myself. Any other questions or comments for Jason? All right, well, with that then, I will let you go on your merry way, Jason. Thank you for coming tonight. Definitely appreciate all the work Education Exchange does here in the community. It's really helpful to have, workforce trained up for the jobs that are needed.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
All right, next we have the Johnny Cake Center, and I see Kate with her hand raised.
Oh, let's see. I look like I have a big blob in front of me. I don't know why.
There might be some type of obstruction there. Oh, well, you can always just turn the camera off. If
Oh,
it's
sorry, here we go. Okay, sorry. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm Kate Brewster. I'm the director of the Johnny Cake Center. I want to thank you all for the amazing support that you've given us all these years, especially this past year, which was certainly probably our busiest in a very, very long time. And Rob was consistently checking in on us, and we appreciate that. So I wanted to just also thank my colleagues who are here tonight. I think we're all so supportive of each other this past year, and it's just great to be working in this community. Just for the new council members, a quick refresh on the Johnny Cake Center. We serve approximately 2,000 people a year. About 3/4 of those are living in South Kingstown. The other quarter live in Narragansett. And I know most of you know us for our food pantry and our thrift store.
But we really have branched out over the past 3 to 4 years to offer many more services really aimed at improving the physical, emotional, and financial health of local residents. Right now, we're offering our free tax assistance site. We have a community health outreach program. We offer financial assistance. In fact, last year we provided $60,000 in emergency financial aid to local households, primarily for housing, also for utilities, transportation. We partner closely with the Boys and Girls Club, as you all know, as well as the Y. This past summer, in addition to sending kids to the Boys and Girls Club camp, we also were able to convince the YMCA to open up Camp Fuller for Johnny Cake members. So they were able to attend camp down in the gorgeous grounds of Fuller for 4 weeks, which was terrific. More recently, I just want to state, I know you probably all are aware that we bought the old Peacedale Grammar School on Kersey Road. Started demo this week finally, and we'll be moving in there this fall and plan to host or house, excuse me, all of our core services under one roof, which will be wonderful. The thrift store will remain here in the Rotary at our main building, but everything else will move in together at that location. And you may have also read that we recently purchased 4 properties from the Welcome House, which we will be using for service enhanced housing for low-income families. The housing struggles that families are facing in this town are just beyond belief. And we're really trying to find ways to open doors literally for those folks. And we're grateful to the Welcome House for giving us a chance to renovate those properties and move families in, primarily who qualify for low-income housing and subsidies. So that will be happening over the next 6 to 9 months. So just quickly, we are asking again for $30,000 a year. I know it's maybe the highest number on the list. I know it was last year. I'm not sure if it is this year, but we use that money for our food pantry operations and to purchase food. Last year, we distributed at least 345,000 pounds of food. We lost count at some point of the donations that were pouring in. We just couldn't keep up, which was a good problem to have. Most notably, though, we ran our school vacation meals program for 28 weeks, which was insane. We usually run it for 9 in the summer, and at the end of the 9, we're always exhausted. This was 28 straight weeks of providing 5 days worth of breakfast and lunch in the form of groceries to local families. So this year we did 35,800 of those meals. Last year it was 19,000. So you can imagine that it certainly impacted our budget, and we had more staff there, we had more deliveries going out, and certainly we're purchasing more food. Although the community was fabulous in donating, particularly cereal and other items that we asked for. So we will be using the $30,000 again for food purchases. We have many more cleaning costs, again, staffing, folks who are going out on deliveries. So that's what the money would be used for. Certainly happy to answer any of your questions. And again, want to thank everyone for their amazing support over this past year.
Thank you, Kate. Councilwoman Rose.
Kate, thank you. I just want to say, as a fairly recent recipient of services provided by the Johnny Cake Center, I can't speak highly enough of the program that you guys run. When people come in, they're met with warmth and acceptance. I had the opportunity to spend some time there distributing meals with y'all before the holidays, and you guys are a well-oiled machine. It's unbelievable. It's great what you guys are doing for the community, and I wish you the best of luck in the expansion. Thanks so much for everything that you guys do for our community.
Thank you. We have a great team.
Great. Yes. Any other questions or comments for Kate? All right, we'll let you off easy here, Kate. Thanks for all your work. Sorry I did not make it to get to hand out the turkeys this year.
Oh, it was a totally different experience, Abel, but you know, we'll hopefully be back to the normal next year.
I hope so. Look forward to it. Have a good night.
Thank you.
And next we have Neighbors Helping Neighbors. And Sue has her hand raised.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. My name is, oh, start video. Let me just do that. Okay, hello. As everyone has said, and it's most sincere, thank you so much for your past support and for the opportunity to ask again this year. And it's very humbling to hear what all the organizations are doing in this community, and kind of makes you really proud to be living here. And we also had our COVID challenges this year in a big way. We're a much smaller organization, and it's humbling to follow Kate, that's for sure. But it's if you scale the story down, it's very similar. Our needs were much greater this year because of COVID. We typically do home repairs on about 35 homes per year. This year we did 53. And with COVID, you know, that made it more challenging because we had to get new procedures. We needed masks. We needed all kinds of safety precautions. We were fortunate to have a volunteer from the, you know, nursing profession that helped us develop procedures so we would keep the homeowners safe, and as well as our volunteers going into homes. Our mission, in case anyone isn't quite familiar, is we do home repairs, but the goal is to prevent homelessness. We try to prevent any family or person from losing their home. And the work we do is, you know, geared for that. We don't paint for cosmetic reasons. We don't do minor things, you know, unless it comes under the category of person could possibly lose their home. In the town of South Kingstown, we did several roof replacements, brand new roofs, fixing leaky roofs. If we can use our volunteers, you'll see that I show the cost of the project was $0, but that's because we used donated whatever we can get, including the masks we had. We were fortunate that people donated the special kind of gear we needed. And it was a project management challenge to try to schedule these things because we needed people to leave their homes so that if we went in, we didn't have the COVID risk of too many people in one house. The thing that was really not fortunate for us is we lost our matching donor this year because of COVID. Our matching donor has been with us about 4 years straight, but they're out of state and they had to focus locally on what they could do. So that is why I was asking for 2,000 this year instead of 1, if it was possible. We spent over $9,000 in the town of South Kingstown last year. The roofs are the big price tag. They're on the order of $3,000 to $5,000 each. So our operating expenses are very, very low because we still are volunteers. Even our executive director does not have a salary. We don't have an office. We have a little spot in St. Andrew Church where they let us keep a locked file cabinet, and we store a trailer on their property with all our tools. We work with the South Kingstown Elks. We actually helped them create their little business, and they do smaller scale things, but together we partnered this year doing wheelchair ramp for someone in town. So, you know, we try to meet with them a few times a year. As you can imagine, when we walk in to do home repair, sometimes we find things that need these other agencies like domestic violence and like things for kids. So we work very closely to refer anything that is at all a concern when we're in the home. So I'm not sure if you have any questions. I know our numbers look a little funny because of losing the matching donor. Our budget is a lot less projected for next year. But, you know, we're confident we're going to still have a strong year, because we thought this year was going to be just almost impossible. And we ended up, you know, almost doubling what we normally do. But it was even more urgent to keep people safe in their house this year. I mean, can you imagine losing your home in the middle of this pandemic? So, you know, I think we all have the same heart here. And, you know, our piece of it is keeping these homes intact. So if anyone has questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thanks, Sue. Amazing, you know, stepping up like that in the face of the pandemic. So thank you for that. Any questions or comments for Neighbors Helping Neighbors? I thank you for explaining, you know, the increase requests. I think it's certainly reasonable in the circumstances. So I will just say, have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
Next, we have the Narrow River Preservation Association.
Oh, hi, my name is Jim Vogel and I'm with the Narrow River Preservation Association. Thank you for having us here and with your giving us your support. NRPA has been an organization that has been working with the preservation and maintaining a natural environment here in the Narrow River for over 50 years. In the past, South Kingstown has helped us with supporting our monitoring program. So since 1992, NRPA's volunteer river monitors have tested the water in the river and its major freshwater inputs for the watershed here. It's been part of the URI Watershed Watch. And so 14 times between May and October, and we have been able to do that actually last year during COVID with strict protocols for folks, we are able to gather data on temperature, dissolved oxygen, various chlorophyll levels, and even salinity and chemical analysis of the river. And these have been used to really help us understand what's going on in the watershed and help justify projects such as the recent project that just completed on Middle Bridge for the stormwater improvement. So we see the effects of what happens with the environment on the river, and we can measure that and actually get accurate data on that. So the costs for these things come out to about $675 per site, and there are 13 sites. We submitted a map to that, and it's on our website if you wanted to look at that. And then about half of that the town pays to really help for the lab fees and to do things like that. After each year's sampling and processing, the data is compiled for an additional fee that we pay to support this. And it's organized in a way that we can share with the town and other state agencies and others that may need this to go forward. So our volunteers are here. We have about 30 volunteers that do this. So they perform citizen science, which is kind of nice. We involve the community in actually doing the science here and really looking at that and seeing what's going on with this. So again, we'd like to thank you for the support, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. Again, thank you again.
Thank you, Jim. Any questions for Narrow River Preservation? All right, pretty straightforward. Thank you for that great recap of your work. It's good to see, you know, the work that's gone in there in Narrow River, and hopefully all those improvements that we've made over the past few years with stormwater management will start paying off. I know, obviously, it's gotten better over the years already, but
absolutely. Thank you.
Have a good evening. Next, we have the Southern Rhode Island Volunteers. All right, Deborah, you are in the meeting now. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. I'm sorry. Something just happened when they connected me and I lost my picture and everything. So you can hear me though, correct?
Yes, we can hear you. You might, if you, I don't know if you have it down there in the bottom left.
Yep.
Of your...
Yeah, I just got a thing. Oh, there we go. Okay. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you, first of all, for making this opportunity tonight. This has certainly been an unusual and extraordinary year that we've all faced at all levels. This is the 40th year that Southern Rhode Island Volunteers has been in existence. It began in 1981 as Seniors Helping Others in Kingston. And it was an experiment around peer-to-peer support about volunteerism for older citizens and them helping their peers. Our main service, our signature service, is independent aging. And in that vein, we offer transportation to healthcare appointments, grocery stores, the pharmacy, to town hall, housing appointments, food pantries, those kinds of things that help support basic needs for seniors. Anyone 55 years of age who has a disability diagnosis or older qualifies for our service if they are low income. This year, a main component of what we did was around food security and nutrition. COVID-19 made this a strange year, to say the least. Transportation was happening early on, and then everything came to a grinding halt. So there were about 3 months where we didn't do any transporting to healthcare appointments. There weren't any. But during that time, it actually was a good thing that we weren't doing those, because what happened to food delivery was that it just went through the roof for us. So in any given year, we usually have about 427 volunteers who are active and working. A lot of nonprofits have not been active or using volunteers, and there have only been 60 volunteers working this past year. So our tiny staff of 3 has been on the main line as well. We've been delivering Meals on Wheels. We have a small office in the annex in South Kingstown, and we delivered to 42 individuals for South Kingstown this past year over 10,000 meals. It was 10,920 meals. And then over 35,000 pounds of groceries to 21 senior homes in South Kingstown from a partnership with Belmont Market. Belmont's always been really supportive of everything that goes on in town for people in need. But being a small market, they also had the ability to set up a phone bank there for us to be able to take orders from senior households. We have served the entire community. We've been there since early March. We partnered initially with the VFW was there, the Elks and the Lions Club, and they were doing like Narragansett and South Kingstown and Block Island, which was kind of crazy. And we were doing the rest of the county. And then when those organizations stopped, we just picked up taking the responsibility for the entire county. So twice a week, we have volunteers and our staff there delivering the groceries to folks to try and help them with staying safe. The issues we've faced this year have been fear. For many, many seniors, the unknown, the isolation. So we deliver the groceries directly to their home. We do the shopping, we take the order, do the shopping, and bring the food to them. We provided those seniors with all the PPE equipment that they would need so that when they came to the door to get the groceries, they were safe. And then we also had the volunteers with PPE equipment. We have reinstated transportation. It looks a little different. It's, you know, a volunteer driver in the front seat of the car, and the senior passenger has to be in the back seat of the car. They have to have masks. So we no longer can have couples go together because we can't separate them. We also have the average age of our volunteers is 62 years of age. So that's been a challenge for us. This year, countywide, we supported 839 seniors, which is what we do in a normal year. So we didn't lose any. As a matter of fact, for periods of time, we increased by about 30 or 40 seniors, depending on what was going on. 40% of what we do happens for our seniors in South Kingstown. You know, so it's a pretty substantial amount of assistance that we provide to my neighbors in South Kingstown. I'm a resident here as well. So I think for me, the thing that really touched me most deeply this year is that we never lost a beat. We kept working. I am exhausted. I will be honest with you, I'm exhausted. But it's been very rewarding as well to not only be providing that kind of work that we do to help maintain independence and health and alleviate isolation and, you know, shovel the snow and clear the walks and do all of those things that support healthy aging. It became such a crisis this year for the seniors that we support senior citizens, and we don't talk about senior citizens issues a whole lot most of the time. This year, it became, the topic. And then specific to COVID-19, we've been transporting people now over to South Road to the testing site, to the vaccination site. We provided 14 volunteers there. So it's really exciting to be a part of what looks like the solution for what we're all facing. We've asked for level funding, which supports the senior services for the folks in South Kingstown. And I think the important thing for you to know is that the coordinator's salary to do this for the whole county is just over $43,000, and 40% of that is $17,000. But that would be costly for a taxpayer. And as a South Kingston taxpayer, I don't want to have to pick up that burden too. So I want you to understand that $2,000 that you give to us allows us to then leverage that money with other organizations and foundations to actually pay the bill to help the seniors that we help each and every year. So it's like between 800 and 1,000 lives are being made better in our county, and we serve the southern 12 communities in Rhode Island. And if you have any other specific questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments? All right, Councilwoman Rose.
Deborah, first I want to say thank you to you and all of your volunteers. You have provided a service that was so essential during the pandemic. I had the honor of spending some days at the beginning of the pandemic over at Belmont, doing some shopping and delivering. And I got to tell you, you're not just helping the elderly. You brought me out of a funk that I needed to be brought out of too, by giving me that opportunity. Through that experience, I met some of the seniors in our community that I would not have otherwise had a chance to meet, and I'm still in contact with them.
Oh, that's great.
So it's a great service, and I'm rooting for you guys. Thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you so much. That was very nice of you, Jessica. Just think, one of the interesting things too is I'd like you all to know that one of the oldest recipients of the groceries is 102 years old. I think that's pretty cool.
Awesome. Any other questions or comments? All right, well, keep up the great work. We're getting through this thing, and look forward to hearing about all the success stories again next year.
Thank you so much.
Next, we have SK Wellness. See, we have a lot of hands raised for this one. I don't know if there's one particular speaker who wants to be brought in.
Hello.
Hello.
Sorry about that. It muted me. I'm MK Witten. I'm Executive Director of SK Wellness, and I have to start off by saying good evening, and that it's so nice to be in the company of so many organization and fellow human services members who I know have worked tirelessly during this pandemic. And I think it's a testament to the human spirit and our level of community that we have in South Kingstown, that everyone is just continuing to move forward and work so hard for our community. I have to give a special thank you first before I say anything to my team who's with me tonight, working with them and supporting one another while we're trying to support the mental health of the community. We couldn't do it without each other, and we're fortunate to have one of our students here tonight as well who would like to say a word if he could, but I'll just do a quick overview. I know our application was pretty lengthy, but I just, to let you know, our mission is to promote optimal mental health among the entire South Kingstown community through education and advocacy. Currently, we are a 501c3 nonprofit. We are the successor organization to the former South Kingstown Partnership for Prevention. I know we have a lot of letters and all of our names here. We're dedicated to teaching children and adults alike about the skills that they need to successfully manage their own mental health, and with that, of their loved ones. And we offer a lot of resources to do that and support, particularly during the pandemic, to reduce stress. We've been working really hard to increase feelings of connectivity and to help with those feelings of isolation. So even though our funding may be dwindling, I feel like our efforts have tripled during this time to offer workshops, facilitated discussions, online content, educational materials, and youth development programs. In September of 2020, the federal drug-free community grant that funded SK Wellness's work within the South Kingstown community for the previous 10 years ended. And so our organization was not able to reapply for that. But by this time, we had already transitioned from being SKPP into the IRS designated nonprofit organization. And with that, a more comprehensive focus on mental health as well as substance abuse prevention. We truly believe that focusing on mental health and the root cause of maladaptive behaviors will lead towards the prevention of mental health illness and substance use and abuse. As everyone's aware, the pandemic has definitely added a new layer to these stresses, increased feelings of isolation, decreased ability of students and community members to utilize former coping mechanisms. So we've really pivoted our programming to attend to these needs virtually while creating new forums for connections and providing new outlets for stress, assisting students and community members alike in learning from their struggles to find newfound coping mechanisms. So while our programming really ranges for all ages, tonight we are here for our students. Due to the financial challenges created by the pandemic, SK Wellness has had to reduce staff hours and some of our programming. However, our youth development programs have remained our top priority, and they have not been reduced. And if anything, we are meeting with our students more, and from that spiraling outward to the greater community. With the assistance of an SBA Paycheck Protection Loan starting in February, we will likely be able to continue our school programs through the end of this 2020-2021 school year, but we cannot guarantee that any of our programming will continue in the schools and greater community if additional funding for staff salaries is not secured. So we seek funding tonight for the staff salaries to support our South Kingstown High School youth groups, Rebels Inspiring Positive Lifestyles and Peer-to-Peer, as well as to launch a youth group at Curtis Corner Middle School. By supporting these youth groups, if you do so allot this funding, you will also be supporting the efforts that can be extended to all community members. As many of our programs that we do with the youth that are youth-led are mirrored back into the community. So for example, in May, for Mental Health Awareness Month, we are going to have a presentation by NAMI specifically for all SK high school students. But then later in the week, we will have a presentation by Dr. Ellen Flannery Schroeder, a child anxiety expert that will be for the entire community and will incorporate our youth panelists to discuss anxiety as a whole for the entire community. So most of our initiatives that we have with our youth do become mirrored within the community. We currently work with Ripple and peer-to-peer to provide mental health education from substance use prevention to stress relief and coping skills education to the entire high school community. They work in 4 subcommittees and they advocate for positive lifestyle change throughout their school and community. And then peer-to-peer specifically has goals to raise awareness about mental illness, decrease stigma, and increase help-seeking behaviors, which I think is paramount right now during this pandemic, because we're not even going to realize the full effects of this until later, and we still will need support for our students and community in the future. Ripple and peer-to-peer currently do benefit the 900 students of South Kingstown community. And if Ripple is expanded to Curtis Corner, it could affect those 500 students there as well. And I would also say that all of our programming for our students also has the ability to impact the staff, and the educators right now really do need so much support. I can't even imagine what they're faced every day during this current educational environment. The peer connection program that we have too is also available to South Kingstown students. And through these programs, we are helping to develop resilient children, supporting caregivers and educators, and creating a community that is healthy and thriving. We really believe that when children and families are supported with protective factors, the entire community benefits from a decrease in risk behaviors and increase in health and well-being. Over the last 5 years, funding from the town as SKPP, and then as we transitioned to the 501c3, allowed us to expand the focus of our programming beyond the grant initiative goals of reducing the non-prescription use of opioids and marijuana use. Past town funding allowed us to really broaden our universal prevention approaches to target other substances such as alcohol, but also really allowed us to focus on root causes of substance use and other mental health illnesses. This funding from the town in the past particularly allowed us to start bringing mindfulness programming and create mindfulness programs for the school and to teach coping skills to the greater community at large. The past fiscal year, the $5,000 that we received from the town went for our new operating expenses that SK Wellness incurred after transitioning from the town of South Kingstown as our fiscal agent to becoming an independent nonprofit organization. So that includes, regular operational fees. But today, as I said, we're here for our students and the youth of South Kingstown, particularly. We seek funding for what we view as some of our most critical services, which is to provide the youth of South Kingstown, which has been at no cost to the South Kingstown schools, to continue. And if you have any questions, I'd love to answer questions, but I'd also love if our student Ryan Estes, who is here, could be allowed to speak.
Yeah, if we could bring in Ryan, that would be great at this point. I do just want to take a second to congratulate you on getting that nonprofit status. I know it was in the works for a while.
Thank you very much.
Is this thing working?
Yes, it is. We can hear you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ryan Estes, and I am a junior at South Kingstown High School. And I just wanted to speak on behalf of MK and SK Wellness and its youth groups, Rebels Inspiring Positive Lifestyles, or Ripple for short, and our mental health awareness group, Peer-to-Peer. When I first started coming to Ripple meetings as a freshman, I was a little shy and I wasn't really sure what I was supposed to do and what my role was going to be. But over time, being involved in the events planning and being an advocate for positive mental health as part of Ripple and Peer-to-Peer helped me become a much more confident speaker and communicator. Being a part of Ripple and Peer-to-Peer gave me the opportunity to attend the Communities Anti-Drug Coalitions of America conference in Washington, D.C. And I was fortunate enough to speak to our state representatives and senators, and also allowed me to develop an interest for a career in public administration and government. We also spoke to several school district administrators about the programs and events that we plan. And I feel like we are now finally starting to have a positive impact, not just on our school, but our community as well.
All right, thanks, Ryan. So at this point, any questions for Swell or SK Wellness? All right, I don't see any jumping up to ask questions. So MK, thank you, and Brian and your other colleagues for coming tonight and being a part of our meeting. Certainly understand that you're growing and expanding, and there's good cause for increasing your ask from us. I think we'll take that all under advisement, and we'll see what happens.
Thank you very much for your time tonight.
Good night.
Thank you very much as well.
We have the auxiliary post 916 of the Veterans of Foreign Wars. All right, Tiger, you just need to unmute yourself.
All right, I got it. Thank you. Can you hear me? We good?
Good.
All right, I'm really tired. It's been a long week, and it's humbling to sit and listen to some of the folks from the other committees or the other organizations that I've worked alongside with during this COVID year that really changed how many of us operated on a day-to-day basis as organizations. I'm also very proud to say that I worked part-time for part of the COVID with two of the town council members, Jess and Deb, over at Belmont's, and they're rock stars. And so very grateful for their energies as well. And so I'm here today, third year in a row as the commander. Auxiliary is another part of our organization. I'm sure, Rob, you just pulled that up off of something on Google. I'll make sure next year, if we come, I'll have another logo for you. This is our 99th year. Next month, we turn 99. And this is our 93rd year in our building here at 155 High Street. We have 125 members. We increased since Amy hand walked me through filling out the paperwork for this application. And God bless her, because I'm really terrible at it. And she is very patient. And thank you, Amy, if you're still on. Most of our members are from South Kingstown, and the outreach, and it's really hard to quantify what we do. This year with COVID, our outreach extended way past our normal demographic of veterans and their family members. It included all residents of South Kingstown in many different areas, and it was all new ground for us. But we discovered that there were needs that we could meet, and we were glad to meet. And with the help of people and organizations like Kate over at the Johnny Cake, we were able to meet that. And so very humbling to stand here before you today, because we're just now in the last 2 weeks have really been able to figure out what we're going to be doing with the $5,000 that we're asking from South Kingstown and from Narragansett. Tomorrow we have a veteran service officer visit. A veteran service officer is somebody who is trained and qualified and goes through this whole accreditation process to advocate and to teach veterans and family members about services and benefits and help they qualify for through military service. Kingstown has, I believe it's 896 veterans or family members of veterans who claim tax relief. If we add Narragansett and Charlestown and get into Westerly, all encompassing Washington County, it's about 2,000 veterans altogether. We are really stressing to what was halted, the process of creating the Washington County Veteran Resource Center here at 155 High Street. We are the only thing between Providence and Westerly that is veteran-centric. And we really want to take advantage of a lot of the resources that we have developed here and the outreach that we have, make it a better place for veterans to learn how to help themselves and to also to get the benefits they've earned, everything from education, medical to financial assistance. So tomorrow we have VSO Cumming, who was trained a VFW member from North Kingstown. What's more important is that she is bringing 2 people that she is training, including one of my officers here. We will have a local veteran who at some point in the next year or so will be an accredited VSO resource for us so that we will not need to ask for a veteran service officer to come from across the state. There may be 6, 7 in the states here in Rhode Island that we have access to, veteran service officer. So us training one and getting them accredited is kind of huge. That takes some money. And so we will be, VA offers the program. There is some scholarship stuff, but it primarily they are sponsored. And the sponsoring agency will be, for this one person, one of the 3 that are be there tomorrow is VFW 916. I'll be looking for help from some of the other veteran organizations that reside here now, American Legion Post 39 and the VVA. But anyway, I'm really excited. We have 12 veterans who are signed up for tomorrow. If you're not doing anything, come on by. I'm making, for lunch, I'm making pulled pork teriyaki. It's on right now. And hopefully we can get them the services that they require or get them on the right path. It's kind of a big deal. And so I'm just grateful to be able to sit before you again to tell you a little bit about our story. I'm sorry, I'm really tired. I was hoping I could appear in a jacuzzi, like I understand one of the town council members has for a town council meeting before, but it's kind of cool and I'm kind of tired. So that's pretty much it. All the monies that we are receiving from Narragansett and from South Kingstown will go towards services. Any of our renovation and all of that will come, we're hoping, from other grants that we've applied for, including at Home Depot. This is all about getting stuff back out to our veterans and their families. Is there any questions?
Thank you, Tiger. I'm sure Jess can arrange to make her hot tub available for next time. Really cool to hear about that work and getting that VSO trained up. And sorry, yes, the VFW Post 960. Any questions or comments for Tiger? Councilwoman Rose.
Thank you, Tiger, for that reminder. I also want to thank you for the work that you've done right here in my neighborhood in downtown Wakefield with the Mickey and Minnie Library and Food Pantry. You've put in an incredible amount of work to keep that going, and we get your bat signals when they need replenishing, and I appreciate that as well as everything else that you're doing. So thank you so much for your service.
Any other questions or comments for VFW Post 960? All right, I see none. Well, thank you for coming before us, Tiger. You don't have to feel any more humble than the rest of the people presenting tonight. You know, the Post does great work around the community, and hopefully this year, you know, we can have our parades be a little more people-filled, and get some more people out there, you know, commemorating all the veterans in our community. Have a good night. And that brings us to the Wakefield Village Association. All right. That's Ken Tetzner. All right, Ken, you just need to unmute yourself.
How's that?
That works.
Okay, great, thanks. Yeah, I'm Ken Tetzner, president of the Wakefield Village Association. This year, we request our level funding of $5,000 to put towards our continued community events. We raise money through our events and also through dues. We did not collect dues to soften the devastating impact of the local businesses, which make up all of our members. So last year, we worked with the town and put the funds towards much needed Main Street maintenance and cleanup of the street. We will resume work this spring with the cleanup of the Saugatucket River and continue to work with the businesses to re-engage with the community. We are meeting next week and are going to take small steps forward with some socially distanced events like the River Fire. We are hopeful we will be able to bring back our events and showcase the town. That's pretty much why we do our events. Last year, we probably the year before, we probably brought in about 3,500 people with the Oktoberfest, which is good for the economy of the town, and probably 1,500 with our summer events throughout the Thursdays. So we're hopeful we can get back on track and start doing some stuff like that. We're obviously going to socially distance and be very cautious and watch the vaccinations and work with the town to make sure that we are safe with everything that we're doing. This year, the 5,000 we'll put towards helping to socially distance the River Fire events and keep them safe. We have to get wood, obviously, and we also want to up the entertainment. We're really trying to get a community presence and get the people, get people together when, they can socially distance and be safe, but at the same time, get out of their house, get downtown and, start supporting local businesses again as hopefully, the world changes. So, yeah, thank you. I can answer any questions or.
Yeah, let me see. Any questions for the Wakefield Village Association? Your reputation precedes you, Ken, so there are no questions tonight, but thank you for coming before us. Once again, we do definitely look forward to, being able to get out there and have crowds once again.
Would be nice.
We're making progress. This vaccination work is going well. And I think some of the science that we're seeing shows that, outdoor activities are pretty safe. So hopefully we get to the point where we're able to do that, and looking forward to it.
Great. Thanks, Abel.
Have a good night.
All right.
Now we have the fire districts.
I'm not sure we've got anyone in the audience from the fire districts. Susan, if there is anybody out there, by all means, bring them in. But I did just want to point out that this was the first year that the allocation for the fire districts was being put to a recruitment program tied to college scholarships for either firefighters themselves or members of their family. This is an important tool that the fire districts have asked the community to share in the establishment of, and the first scholarships are currently under review. So they are receiving applications for those now, and will make their first round of scholarship awards this year, later this year.
Great.
With that, I will stop sharing.
All right. Well, that was great. Very informative to hear from all those organizations. I don't know if there's any sort of commentary here at the end of the night from council members. If not, we can get to bed a little earlier tonight. All right, seeing none, I think, this is always one of the most enjoyable nights of our whole budget process, to hear about the good work that so many people in our community are involved in and doing, and to hear about the volunteerism that really is such a big part of life here in South Kingstown. So glad you are all here to enjoy it with me. We will see all of you on Monday night for a regular meeting. Good night,
6 o'clock Monday.
Oh, yes, 6 o'clock. All right. Good night, everybody.
Be well.
Good night.